Hello folks, welcome to sunny Blackpool. The sun is shining beautifully here. It's the middle of August and we're recording ready for November. It might not be sunny where you are now. Right, I'm back inside now. Now I'm going to have to take these glasses off because I can't see my script. So let's put the other ones on and let's get on with it. My presentation is called No Spit. And I'm going to tell you how I have managed no saliva for the last 11 years. Simply what's worked for me. It's not Swallow's policy. It's not, and I'm not medically qualified. And I'm not endorsing any of the products I use, but if any of the companies I mentioned want to send me a brand new car, that's fine with me. Also, as I go through, I'm going to tell you that other products are always available. But first, I want to ask you a question. During this lockdown, I've been trying to learn Japanese, and it's dead easy. I'll give you an example. What's the Japanese phrase for a baby's nappy? The answer? Sakapoo-poo. It's easy. Now it says here, pause for laughter and huge applause. Thank you, folks. Okay, are you sitting comfortably? Then I'll begin. First thing was diagnosis. On Friday the 16th of October in 2009, I went to our local Victoria hospital to get the results of a biopsy on a lump on the side of my neck. So I was taken to a small room where a nurse was sitting on her own reading through some paperwork. She looked up as I went in and she said, "Oh, you're on your own then?" And I said, "Yes, I'm on my own. Why would I not be? Oh, this isn't good news, is it?" The thought that it could be cancer had not even been entered our heads at home, and none of the medics had mentioned it either. The consultant came in and told me it was throat cancer. The full diagnosis was, and I've got to read this, squamous cell carcinoma, left oropharynx involving left tonsil, base of the tongue and soft palate. And then afterwards were these figures. Apparently T4 is the largest and most invasive tumour. N2 meant there were secondary tumours in my neck and lymph glands. MO was no other secondaries. Some good news then. My immediate reaction was anger, that this beast had invaded my body. I said, "Is it terminal?" And the consultant said, "No." And I said, "Then we will beat the bastard, won't we?" And this was the foundation of my fight back, folks. I firmly believe that a positive attitude helped me to beat this. My next thought was, oh my God, how do I now tell my wife Linda? She'd just nursed and supported me through a double heart bypass in the July of 2009, and now this. I found that the fear and the panic, which is normal, was best dealt with for me by doing this. I didn't want to let the cancer take over. I wanted to stay in charge. They wanted to start my treatment straight away, but I said no. Can I please have a week if that won't make things worse? And they said yes, okay. I went home, I told my wife, and I told the kids and their families. This was Friday afternoon when I had the diagnosis. On Saturday we went to our local travel agent, and on Sunday we flew to Cyprus for a week's holiday. My decision, not the cancer. Now let's look at treatment. It was carried out at Preston General Hospital, chemotherapy and 35 sessions of radiotherapy, no operation. One of the things that really annoyed me before I had all of this was having to have my back teeth out. I'd looked after my teeth really well all my life, and I was really annoyed at losing them. One day, in the shower, I had a handful of hair, and I thought, right. I went downstairs and I said immediately to my son, "Shave my head, please." And he said, "Why, Dad? You've still got hair." And I said, "No, this is my decision, not the cancer. I'll have a shaved head because I want to." Let's look at managing the after effects. First of all, talk about dry mouth and swallowing. That's why we're called swallows, because people have difficulty in swallowing. First of all, I want to say a very, very, very big vote of thanks to the speech therapist at the Victoria Hospital for getting me over the first huge hurdle, which was my very first swallow. I couldn't do it. I couldn't put anything in my mouth, not liquid, not solid, not anything. I was scared stiff that I was going to choke and die. She was called Beth, and I really want to say thank you, Beth. I had to try and overcome that first bit. Later on, however, I did find that real ale and Guinness worked really well, and sometimes not in moderation either. Oh, there are other real ales and beer available. Phlegm was a problem too, so now I gargle every morning and every night and before I go to bed, and I really am amazed at how much it brings up, and I would recommend that to anybody. So I mentioned about phlegm and gargling, and I find it really helps. But let me just show you what I do. It may sound silly to show you how to gargle, but this works for me. Hardly anything at the moment, which is great. But at the end of the day, there's always usually a lot that goes down there. Cheers. I manage dry mouth by carrying a bottle of water in my rucksack, and I'll come back to my rucksack later. And I also use, where's my first one? I use this, which is called Oralive Moisturizing Mouth Spray. I find for me, I've tried quite a few, and I find for me this works best for me. But remember, also, reflux can be a problem I found. So what I do is I take these, get them on prescription from the doctor, and I'm still getting them now, and I take one a day, and these stop the acid coming from my stomach up into my esophagus, which again can be a problem. A bit like indigestion, but it's awful, and I do need to take them to keep it down. Okay, so as usual, halfway through this I need to have a little drink of water. Oh, that's better. Okay, next thing I want to talk about is eating. I've split it into two, eating at home and eating outside of home. At first, and I'm sorry to mention this while you're sitting there, but I suffered from very, very severe constipation. So I had to look at eating a lot more fibre. I start off by having the same breakfast now that I've had probably for the last 10 years at least. I do vary it now and again, but mostly this is what I have, and I'll show you what it is in a minute when we go into the kitchen. Right, so welcome to our kitchen. This is my breakfast, and I have most mornings because of the fibre content, and it stops the constipation, and it really works. First of all, I put 4 prunes and chop them up. I have 2 figs, and I make sure I take out the little stiff stem and chop them up, and I chop up a banana. I then have 1 handful of high fibre, and I use that one there all together. And just because I like it, I use soya milk on top of it all as well. And it works really, really well, and it actually tastes quite good. But be careful, because every cereal, especially this one, has a high sugar content. So the other thing I do with fibre is I take, on prescription from the doctor, something called fibre gel, and it's a husk. I take one in the morning and one in the evening, but you must read the instructions and get your doctor to make sure it's okay for you. You must not take it immediately before you go to sleep. Okay everybody, all at once, what am I going to do now? Okay, let's look at my soup maker now. This is the one that I've got all together, and it works really well. It's for homemade soups. A lot of the tinned soups I've found have got lots and lots of sugar and lots of additives, so I didn't really want to do that, and fresh always tastes better. This is very automatic. You put everything in there once you've chopped it together, and then you just simply pick the menu choice, the program that you want, and this is how you do it. Pop that on there like that, choose a menu, and I'm going to show you something. There's 4 different programs, and I'm going to hold that. There's nothing inside, but listen to this noise. Now that's quite noisy. So this has a dual purpose, because when you put it on, it's automatic. So you turn it all on and it starts to heat up, and then it starts to blend. But it blends when it feels like it. So when you're over here working away on this side and that noise goes on, it works as a laxative as well. Choking. Food gets stuck in my throat, like it might do with you if you've got dry throat or no saliva, when I don't chop it up enough. And I've recently discovered that I choke quite frequently if I talk when I'm eating with my mouth full, which you'd be surprised to hear didn't seem to happen very often. Yes, it did. So now I'm trying to not do the 2 things at the same time, and it's working. I've always got water nearby, always, and gravy and sauces, not spicy sauces because I can't do that, they help too. And I'm not afraid to ask for them, but I'll come to that in the next section. Eating out. For a lot of people, this is something that they've stopped doing because they feel embarrassed, or they don't want to take such a long time eating. So what have I done that's helped me? First of all, I told Linda early on in the cancer that we would not stop going out to eat, because we used to love it. Eating out at restaurants, going on holiday and eating foreign foods. I said we've always enjoyed it and we don't need to go and find a menu just for me. The internet allows me now to look at the menu if we know where we're going, and I can spend a long time deciding on what I want to eat, rather than having to spend loads of time and people waiting for the order to be taken when I'm actually in the restaurant. When I get to the restaurant, before I order, I tell the staff that I have had throat cancer and have no saliva. And I've found that mentioning the word cancer actually makes them very supportive. If I need extra gravy or extra sauce, I ask for it, and normally it comes, usually free of charge. So at friends' houses, I found that invitations had dropped up a bit at first because people didn't really know how to handle my problem. And I'd also become a cancer bore. I was talking about it all the time whenever we went anywhere. Now I discuss the menu with friends in advance and tell them what I need, if anything, and they're all fine with that. Oh, and I've stopped being a cancer bore. I'm not embarrassed when I go out anymore about being slow to eat. I need to chew my food. It's better than choking or leaving loads of food on the plate. Real friends and real colleagues understand. If you eat 3 meals a day, over 365 days a year, that's 1,095 challenges every single year. And you can rise to these challenges and change most of them to successes and give the big C the middle finger. Okay, the next thing, let's talk about talking. Ha! My career was in training and development and presentations. So I really felt it when I found it difficult to talk, because it was something I'd done all my life. So what do I do now? I have plenty of water or liquid nearby, as you can see, and I've politely asked my family to refrain from finishing my sentences if I stop for breath or I stop for water. Politely. I told you before, I was really annoyed at losing my back teeth. I'm going to keep the rest of them. I brush my teeth carefully after each meal, gently, and I use an electric toothbrush in the morning and at night. I keep a toothbrush, toothpaste and a flosser in my rucksack. Rucksack comes later. Let's have a look at what I use. All the dentists and the doctors seem to prescribe this. It's called Durafat, and I get it on prescription from my dentist. I also use Biotine, which is a fluoride toothpaste for people especially with a dry mouth, and I get this on prescription from the doctor. Thank goodness for the British NHS. And the final thing I do to look after my teeth is I use a toothpick and a flosser, and I found this one which is combining them both, and I find it's really good. I've got one very big gap between two teeth here, and food always gets stuck in there, so this really helps. Get ready, all together. So, what else helped? First of all, my wife and my family were incredible. I didn't dwell at any stage on these questions. Why me? Is there a God? How did I get this? I've never smoked a cigarette, which is true. That helped, because then I started thinking positively and not about blame. Another thing that helped was I joined the Swallows. In March 2015 I joined as a volunteer. I was fundraising, I was attending events, and I was supporting our Blackpool charity shop. Have I mentioned our charity shop yet? It's probably the best charity shop in the world. October 2006 to October 2019, I also was team leader for our patient and carers monthly meeting that we held here in Blackpool. And now there are lots of these all over the world, I'm very pleased to say. I met some incredibly brave and inspirational people during the course of my tenureship as team leader, and I'm very grateful for having met them. I realised very quickly how lucky I am. Some of them will never ever eat properly for the rest of their lives. I can. I'm still a volunteer, and I'll continue to support this wonderful charity as long as I can. And I think the Queen's Award for Volunteers says everything. I also investigated every offer of help that was given to me, just to see if it was any good for me without rejecting it out of hand. I also learned that if you bottle your feelings up, one day that bottle will burst. You have to talk. You have to talk. You have to talk. Looking good can help to feel good. And regular exercise has all sorts of benefits when you cope with all this. And I also moisturise my neck twice a day, because that's the area that starts to make you look older. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching. I hope it'll help. And if I haven't joined the Great Wetherspoons pub in the sky by the time this goes out, I'll be holding a question and answer session as per the programme. Stay safe.